What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sleep Atomic, and we're reviewing The Mandalorian, Chapter 11, The Heiress. There's a lot of stuff happening in this episode. There's Bo-Katan showing up and brings that part of the galaxy to us. There's the Empire showing us their stuff. And then there's like the underlying stuff, or like the stuff in the background. And I like that part. I'll start there. Like, there's the stuff that was happening with little baby Yoda guy with the eggs and the frog lady, and how he like just loves eating frogs and the little frog eggs. He like sneak and eat them. He eats three or four that we know of, and it's like visibly like more empty, the tank that they're in. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but they are more. So there's that. I think she was saying like there was a certain place the eggs had to be laid, or there's only so much. But this episode, you at least get to see the little green guy like notice that his thing for frogs. Right now, it's just kind of like uh more primal and then relating to his stomach and hunger. I'm sure like at a distance he's like thinking like he can like eat him. He's like, man, you know what would be so good right now? Like right in the middle of them like reuniting in the foreground. He's like licking his lips about it. And our Mandalorian like confirms it with like him just saying he's like, hey, I know you're hungry, like we'll get you something to eat. But eventually I think it's because he's like away from Dinjarin. Like he's like a little more nicer to him. Once he gets dropped off, he sees one of the eggs crack open and to a tadpole coming out. I'm pretty sure is what you would say. And then by the time he comes back from the mission with Bo-Katan, there's like one with just legs and like tail, like just floating around like a little wooden bowl. It looked like it went well enough for the babysitting outing for the two parents not to be so horrific. I don't think he ate anything. He just was just like sitting there, like, ooh, the aspects of life. Like, like, I don't think he could have gotten away. Like, there was two of them this time, but it kind of seemed like he was really digging into like enjoying like something grow and like life coming into the galaxy. But like just when he dropped off the purple frog lady, is like that part was just too much for me. I don't know if it's like a dig at the fact that it's not like a picturesque thing the Jedi are bringing together, or that's what they were like trying to like shape the Jedi away from the Jedi Order. But it kind of looks like the suggested commentary for the moment is like you see like the two frogs, the green one, the purple one, like reunite, and you're like, oh, this what a heartfelt moment. Now they get to start their family. But Baby Yoda's like in the background, like, I want to eat them. Oh, what am I gonna eat now? Those eggs were so good. But maybe he's just like literally like directly taking after the Mandalorian's emotions. Like maybe empathically because of the Force, or because it's a little child, but maybe Din Djarin's like only mostly concerned about his stomach, like subconsciously, like in the background, and that's why he's like doing all these jobs and like trying to secure things to like, to where he can like go eat. It's already like a like process because he's got to go like hide or jump in his ship, and he can only eat there because he's when he takes his helmet off. Compared to like when Din Djarin picks him up after Bo-Katan, the mission with Bo-Katan. Since he's like a child, he kind of like took after the two frog people and like went with the nurturing attitude because it was like about and free for him to access only. Like I bet it was his idea to put like water in a bowl for like the little like sibling for him to like watch and nurture. Like it wouldn't really be his like sibling, but I'm sure like that's about what would happen like during the time he was being babysat. It's just like literally like 5 minutes of like five quick scenes of like baby Yoda just like living his life and everything. And one of them really had nothing to do with it. Maybe it's because he had like a near death experience with that chowder. He gets like some chowder like in the middle, like towards the beginning of the episode, and it looks like just some porridge or something. And then all of a sudden, like a little like thing with tentacles like crawls out and like slaps onto his face while uh our Mandalorian's just kind of like talking to the server, trying to figure out everything about the other Mandalorians. And almost like a as a parental joke, he's like, "Don't play with your food," and he like jabs the thing with the tentacles uh with a vibro knife or something, and it like falls back into like the porridge, and then like shows the server for a second and comes back to the baby is like looking at the porridge, and it comes back towards the end of the episode. I guess it's like a regular thing. Like they didn't like they don't cook them or something. I guess they're like regular things you just eat raw. One of the Mandalorians with Bo-Katan's like slurping one down, like eating the same porridge, and it's like trying to like grab at her face, and she's like slurping it up like it's noodles. I say that like nothing else is happening, but obviously, our Mandalorian meets Bo-Katan a little bit after the frog people, frog couple reunite, and they point him to the tavern, which is always a good scene for the show. Just like an interior scene with tables and stuff. It just looks nice. And then I guess they get to make the set instead of just like color everything in with whatever effects that is they do. It definitely feels like everyone's immersed. The audience, the actors, maybe the people on set definitely helps the whole effect. And then there's like the two main like types of aliens that populate the area, and that's like the squid looking guys and the I want to say like catfish people, but they're like the general Akbar looking race or species. They got really big head, big eyes, kind of like a bulbous head. It's a very short scene too. Like if they were to get into the whole like port that the Mandalorian's at, it probably would spell out the area for it just because of the it's like all patrons have to eat if you're gonna be in here, otherwise you gotta leave. He was only gonna get a bowl for the little baby Yoda, but he's like, I'm gonna buy some information actually. He pulls out some of the tender that he got that we've seen before in another episode. It's like these blue pucks, and I assume it's like a lot, at least compared to the amount of money that they pay for the chowder. Because I don't know why he'd be like trying to trump them with the just like a low amount of like credits or whatever that you call it. And for this moment, you can like retroactively like realize things and like it's like, oh, this guy's got money and Beskar, and he like goes tell the catfish guy kind of goes tell the one of these squid guys about it, and then you could hear him. It's like, and he's got Beskar, and then he's like, this squid guy comes up. He's like trying to look like he's cutting him a deal, but he's really there for the Beskar and doesn't know anything about the Mandalorians, I'm sure. And he lures him to his ship and tries to have him drown or be eaten by his pet giant sea monster. And that initiates the uh, meeting between the three Mandalorians in blue armor and Din Djarin because they come and rescue him and fish him out of the cage that's in the ship that he was almost gonna drown in. And then introductions were in order. It's like, oh yeah, you can meet your saviors. They call him brother, like in the middle of the rescue, so he at least knows that they're like there to talk. And he starts like, oh yeah, like I'm here to find the Jedi, or I've been quested to find deliver the child. Yeah, and then in the middle of that, Bo-Katan like pulls her helmet off. He's like, "What? Where'd you get that armor? Like another one? Like what's up with all these weirdos?" And then Bo-Katan pretty much points out that it's like, "No, I know you as the weirdo." She explains the watch, and he's a child of the watch, and they're like religious zealots from how she sees it, and like she even kind of gives tips us off to like it's like, oh yeah, I've had this armor for like 3 generations in my family. Like I don't know what you're talking about. But Dinjarin makes it away, and then not too long after nightfall, he is confronted by the squid guy's brother that was trying to steal the Beskar off of him. And then I guess I don't know, the three Mandalorians like were patrolling or have a pretty good eye on the whole area because they come and rescue him one more time, and like they all take out the squid guys like before he can even like participate in it. By the time they're all like taken out, he Din Djarin has his pistol in his hand, and I think he maybe only took one shot, kind of showing their skill there. Bo-Katan's still trying to like reel him in, so she offers him a drink, so they all table together and like go back to that little tavern and try to have a conversation. He like almost doesn't care. He's like, "All right, well, I got what you need. I could find a Jedi for you, but you need to help us." He's like, I don't know. It's like we got a mission. He's like, A mission?" Like dead stops right there. It's like so on for the whole mission thing. Restoring Mandalore, like I thought about that. Like that's gonna be a tough ask. Like I don't know would what you're gonna do about that. But the mission after the heavy drastic cut to them like scoping out the area before they go in, like is a an Imperial ship. with some stuff that they might have taken from the Mandalorians. But either way, they're gonna take it. And it's not too long before we get to see the content of character within the Imperial ship. There's two officers, like, unmasked. Not saying that they had masks, but they aren't wearing stormtrooper armor. And there's a superior officer, and there's like his subordinate, in just kind of like the regal governmental uh imperial clothes with like kind of like the skipper hat for their branch of the space military that they're in. One's like ultra serious and like is a hardcore loyalist, and the other one's just kind of like in it because it's safe, and it kind of shows the two uh attitudes towards stormtroopers. Is like everyone sees them as like a serious threat and force, but then at least to the audience, it kind of looks like there's this other one where they're kind of like goofballs and kind of like barely goons, and that is shown from the officer leading the press against the infiltration. They get they start in the cargo bay, and they think they like cut off Bo-Katan from and trapped him, the other Mandalorians, in a cargo control bay or something, control area, and the people like listening in the cockpit with these superior officers, sir, is like, wait, say that again? You trapped him where? The cargo control area? And he's like, and then all of a sudden the bay door opens and it's like, and all of them are gone. Which is not the real traditional comedy, but there's some moments where you could push in some humorous things, like just off of like uh of the implication. That was another good moment for me there, just for like not even lighthearted moment because it's all pretty like pretty placid, and but it's like a spike in any direction, and it's just humor. So Bo-Katan secures all the weapons in the cargo bay, but she lays down further a threat to the commander of the ship that she's just there for the whole ship, and she presses forward to gain control of that ship. But in between her getting to the cockpit and the cargo bay, the superior officer calls up Moff Gideon, and Moff Gideon basically ends it with, "You know what to do," and he takes out the pilot and the co-pilot, and he's gonna nosedive the Imperial ship into the port, and then that's when everyone notices, and they eventually make it into the cockpit and subdue the superior officer. Where Bo-Katan tries to press him for information about the dark saber. It feels a little sandwiched, but I don't not want to know about dark saber. But the main focus before has been pretty much stormtroopers of the Imperial thing, and then Mandalorians, kind of like armed forces of the galaxy, organized armed forces of the galaxy. And now it's kind of like drifting a little bit more to like the political side because the it's not like the Jedi were like monks, but they were helping the senators and governmental uh, facilities like that. But this is where the loyalist nature shows the most whenever the superior officer is getting pressed for information about the dog saber because he like cyanide pills himself, but it's like an electrical thing like in his tooth, and he basically is turned off permanently, and he's like Bo-Katan's like about to leave the atmosphere because they need to because the other Imperials would come after them, but uh obviously Din Djarin's not so eager to leave with them. They offer to like join forces and stuff, but Din Djarin's like really eager to get back now that he is done with them or done with the mission. And then Bo-Katan tells him where to find Ahsoka Tano. She says, take the foundling to the city of Calidus on the forest planet of Corvus. For some reason, I just really like how she delivered that. It feels like some real directions. He picks up uh our little green guy and then goes back to the port where he's like, I paid you 1,000 credits. Is this the best you could do? And he's talking to the uh dock worker that he asked to fix his ship. And I just like how there's like the that going like thing. It's like casual distress being passed around. And they're like, hey, we can land. We have enough fuel to in the thrusters to for us to stop, but only if we don't burn up in the atmosphere. And they make it, but not without missing the landing pad and like falling and getting tipped into the water, and then the dock worker like fishes them out, and then they're like, it's like, hey, can you fix this? He's like, yeah, like I can get it to fly. Not saying he could fix it. And then he's like, the Mandalorian and the Baby Yoda kid goes away, and he's like, I could, I guess I'll start putting fuel in it if it holds fuel. And there's just like this funny like uncertainty, like where everything was like going just fine, and all of a sudden like there's this bump in the road. But you see like the interior, like there's like the outside's like okay, sure they had to like crudely like paste metal. Obviously they welded it, but they pasted metal in the insides like crudely roped together with like literal rope, like they're in a like a western desert or something. You can see it like in the background and the foreground, like next to the Mandalorian's head, like trying to talk to uh the little green baby. Like all that distress had to go somewhere from the ice planet, and like just not getting your way and having to go to sublight, and it's just like displace all onto the poor Razor Crest, as if to say like it doesn't not exist, but it's not showing on them. And it has seemed to have broke down something else like in the nearby vicinity. And just as the Razor Crest goes into hyperspace, it leaves a piece of that trauma like behind with the little panel coming off of the side of the ship, like it's like a leaf in the wind. It's kind of like a perseverance exemplar kind of a thing, this episode, if it were to like reflect a message of some sort. I'm sure at a different period of time, the more unanimous reaction would be some sort of sullen feeling or like sadness, maybe. But only afterwards, it would just mean it just reflects whatever mood that seems to prevail at that period of time. After a set of different reactions, that would mean people would have to go back and experience this at a different period of time, which is, in my opinion, like what a period piece really is. But the next episode is called Chapter 12, The Siege. Kind of seems like he hit a snag somewhere. Doesn't seem like he exactly went straight to Ahsoka, but who knows? Maybe she needs help with the siege. But yeah, we'll see all that together in another watch. This was Sleep Atomic, and I'm Alistair. And if no one's told you yet, you look good, and it shows.